Welcome to the Hometown News TV for November 9th, 2017. I'm John Young.
And I'm Lori Young. And in this week's Hometown News, we have Harvey McKay, Why Do We Need a Sense of Urgency? What It Takes for a Company to Succeed. Tom Keene, The Good Old Days. He talks about ailments, the different diseases of the past. Dave Says gives advice on how single people can stay on track with their finances. And his second article is he's giving advice on used car warranties. And John, you had done an article because last week you went and covered St. Mary's Catholic Church. They had a special meeting that they had going on.
Yeah, they had a meeting about the group that wants to restore the St. Mary's Church in Melrose. After the fire that happened last year, they held a meeting because they've been working to try to get the church restored as opposed to taking the church down. So I had some information, a couple of takeaways from that meeting that I wanted to share with you today. The current church building was dedicated in 1898, and it was built for the total cost of $50,000, which I thought was just completely astonishing considering today's prices. The church itself and the rectory building were actually added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1993. And this is kind of an important fact because that is going to be why the restorer of the St. Mary's Church will be able to keep it from being demolished. At the meeting, attorney Eric Hansen, who basically specializes in working with groups that have buildings like this that have been on a national registry, his job basically is to stop different entities from destroying these buildings. But at the meeting, Eric was saying because it's on this registry that the diocese is going to have a really tough time to convince the judge that they should be taking this church down. So what's going to end up happening with this church is they'll be going to a court hearing of some sort at some point in time in the future, and they're going to be deciding if they should be taking it down because it is an unsafe structure or can't be rebuilt, or if it's going to stand. Eric Hansen felt very confident that this building would not be needed to take down. The problem with that is that his group only can keep the outside integrity of the building up at this particular point in time. They can't sue to have anything done with the inside of it. They can only sue to keep the outside kind of historical look of the building kept up at this point in time. So what that means is that they can stop it from being demolished, but they can't stop it from being left abandoned to a point and led to decay. The building could just sit as it is if the diocese, who's in control of the property and such, chooses so. That's an interesting point. He wanted to make sure that people knew that no matter what happens in the court case, that ultimately the frame and the outside is all they can do and get it kind of a judgment against or to stop that progress of the demolition. So they could stop the outside from being demolished. It could be left to decay. It could be renovated and be used for a different purpose because the people who want to basically knock it down and start over again, I've got a map here that I'll show you guys. They're wanting to move the campus. They're referring to this, the worship campus, what have you, the new church, to a different location, which is just south of the current cemeteries in Melrose. And you can see I've got a second map here to kind of show you on a satellite view. This particular view will show kind of an idea of what the neighboring buildings and area looks like. But the idea that they want to have it so you can access it from the road that goes past the subway and Burger King, that you would access it from that particular road with the parking lot and the campus being built again just south of the cemetery. Because of that plan, if that is indeed the plan, because it was just kind of a sketch and we're not sure if that was indeed the actual real plan that they want to go with, you might have a situation where they're going to build this and it could leave this other building just kind of sit there until it gets to the point where it becomes unsafe and has to be taken down because of a safety hazard. If it gets to that point, then legally they would be able to take that building down. Or they could renovate it and use it for a different purpose if they so chose. One of the biggest problems that they are seeing with the old building is it's going to cost money to restore and get it back to that point, but even the current building that as it sits, even if it would be restored, is still not going to be handicap accessible, and there's some things that a modern ministry program would need and the current building doesn't have. So that's why I think that's part of the whole process of wanting to have a new campus that has some of the facilities that are needed for a modern ministry program.
Now, John, they had done a lot of fundraisers after the fire with the restoration part of the church and different things. Where's that money going to go, or what is that being used for?
That was actually a question that came up, and the diocese has said for the people who have donated money to the restoration of the church, since the diocese basically has decided that it's not going to be restored, it's going to be demolished, that if people send in something in writing to get their money back, because the money was donated for the idea of restoration, and they're saying that they will refund the money, with a written request for that. Some people shared that they had sent in their written request and hadn't received any of their donations back yet. So those are issues that they're going to have to deal with. The Restore St. Mary's group, it's a nonprofit organization. They're taking donations also so that they can pay for their legal fees to stop the demolition of the building. And they also are trying to start gathering money to be able to afford to renovate the building once the demolition is put on halt. The problem with that is, and this is what Eric was talking about, the attorney, is that the insurance was owned by the diocese, St. Cloud Diocese. There really isn't anything that's owned by the local parish there. So all the decisions on the property owned by the diocese, the insurance money, where that goes, is all diocese. And it doesn't say anywhere that the money that was the insurance money that they're going to be getting for the fire has to be spent on this particular building. That money could be used towards something else, i.e. a new structure where this would be just taken down. So there's a lot of things in motion with this particular project right now, and there's a lot of division going on within the community of St. Mary's there, which is really unfortunate to see. But it's one of those things that you've got people who like the tradition and the beauty of the original structure that was there for over 100 years, and then those who are saying that it's going to cost a lot of money, let's invest that money into the next ministry buildings that we would need for that ministry. So we'll keep you guys up to date on what's going on as information becomes available, and if there's any other future meetings, our goal is to go and be able to live stream those so you can check those out and be basically virtually at those meetings when we have those meetings in Melrose.
And John, actually, when you were at the meeting, there was a gal showing some of the slides and things from what the inside of the church looked like after the fire, and after Steam Master had come in there and done a lot of cleaning, that a lot of the structure stuff looks like it's that is cleanable, and that it's working out very well to clean and restore some of that.
Yeah, that definitely does. That's why there's some people who are a little wondering apprehensive and wondering what's going on with that, because when they cleaned it, it looked like they're not far off from being able to simply fix and restore and change a few things. They were showing a picture of the altar, I believe it was before Service Master came in and cleaned, and they were showing that some of the different things on the altar weren't even covered in the dust and different things that you would expect after being through a fire. There wasn't soot everywhere. So there's a lot of questions about what's going on, and there's a lot of distrust, I think, is the best way to describe this, what's going on right now, because people see one thing and their information isn't flowing like they would like it to, so they're making assumptions and things, and it might be accurate or may not be accurate. That's obviously truth, or time will tell on those, but the folks are just really apprehensive about losing a part of their history. I mean, it's been there for 100 and almost 20 years in that community, so it's definitely a piece of the history of Melrose that they just don't want to lose.
Well, and like when she showed some of the photos of the ceiling work, and you would think that the ceiling would kind of take some of the brunt of with all the smoke. And when I was there covering the fire, they had to break open some of the windows and such and shoot water down, and you just kind of assume all the damage that's going on inside there. And when she was showing some of the pictures, and that had kind of like that blue sky painting, or as far as the ceiling was that color, and it looked really good in the pictures that she was showing. And when you look at St. Rose of Lima Parish over in St. Rose, and with making that handicap accessible and modernizing really that church, when you go in there, it doesn't even give you that feel that it was that old church anymore. It feels very modern, and they did a beautiful job with that.
Yeah, they're definitely, and they talked about that there would be a way to clean and renovate the existing structure and then add on. They showed kind of a sketch that someone had put together, and that's in the video. If you want to go check that video out, the full meeting video is out at our Facebook page, so facebook.com/hometown news. But they showed the back end where they would come out it'd be the west of the church and kind of build some classrooms and office space and different things that you're really needing for a modern ministry. So it is possible, right, from what they were saying. Now, just the logistics of the building, it really becomes down to it. And you have to keep in mind that some of these pictures that were shown we're showing specific areas, and there could be areas that we're not seeing in those pictures that 10 feet to the left could be look horrible. We don't know, because they have really restricted access to the building for safety sake and such, because as it's sitting, it's not being heated properly, and there could be different things that are starting to fall down, whatever. You just don't know, because buildings in Minnesota, if they aren't maintained and heated throughout the winter, it can be a dangerous place. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening. It's I think there's going to be a lot of unfortunately, there's going to be some court battles and attorneys back and forth, and a lot of discussion and arguments and things, and hopefully they can get this figured out to the best interest of the congregation there in Melrose.
Mm-hmm. There was a fire that broke out at 121 this morning over by St. Martin in the St. Martin Township. One of the turkey barns for St. Martin Farm Inc. was fully engulfed. St. Martin Fire Department, along with Lake Henry Fire Department, were also dispatched to the call. When the officers arrived, St. Martin Fire Department was already on the scene working to control the fire. The 1,000-foot barn is divided into sections, where the east section was a total loss and the other sections had minimal damage. Approximately 6,000 turkeys perished in the fire. And for this week's upcoming events, Saturday, November 11th, Sacred Heart invites you to their annual soup and rummage sale at the Sacred Heart Church basement in Freeport from 8 until 2. Saturday, November 11th, there's also a craft and bake sale at Word of Life Church in Uppsala from 8:30 to 1:30 p.m. And next Saturday, November 19th, the New Munich JC's Holiday Expo and Craft Fair will be held on Saturday, November 19th from 11 till 3 at the American Legion in Melrose. This week is the second weekend of deer hunting, so check out the Hometown News for deer hunter specials along with Veterans Day specials, because Veterans Day is also on Saturday. There will also be a Veterans Day program this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. at the Swanville School Auditorium. This week's obituaries include Alan J. Eisenshank, age 78 of Albany, died Monday, November 6th. Services will be held at 10:30 a.m. Saturday, November 11th at the $7 Catholic Church in Albany. A celebration of life for John Henry Koopminers, age 69, will be held Saturday, November 18th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Frank and Joyce Koopminers residence. Claude Remsky, age 79, died Friday, November 3rd. Services were held Wednesday, November 8th at the Wenner Funeral Home in Richmond. Amelia Beckers, age 95 of Albany, died Friday, November 3rd. Services were held Wednesday, November 8th at the $7 Catholic Church in Albany. Mildred Dempsey, age 92 of Long Prairie, passed away Thursday, November 2nd. Services were held today, Thursday, November 9th, at the American Lutheran Church in Long Prairie. Wallace A. Jacobson, age 94 of Avon, died Friday, November 3rd. Services were held Monday, November 6th, at the Miller Carlin Funeral Home in Holdingford. Violet Louise Pintock, age 90 of Opal, died Saturday, November 4th. Services were held Wednesday, November 8th at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic Church in Opal. Thomas Tom D. Thielman, age 65 of Avon, died Friday, November 3rd. Services were held today, Thursday, November 9th, at St. Benedict's Catholic Church in Avon. Char Lynn Peltz, age 45, died Saturday, November 4th. Services will be held at 10:30 a.m. Saturday, November 11th, at St. Martin Catholic Church in St. Martin. And check out the full obituaries in this week's Hometown News. And now for this week's anniversary announcements, we have Bud and Luetta Rohde. They'll be celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary this Saturday, November 18th at the Grey Eagle Senior Center from 12 to 4 p.m. Elmer and Virginia Meyer of Melrose will be celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary with an open house on Sunday, November 19th from 1 to 5 p.m. at the Greenwald Pub. This week's Hometown News photos features our front page photo, which is Terry-Anna Benz. Although she's been hunting for many years, patience really paid off because she not only got her first deer, but it happened to be a buck last Saturday morning on deer hunting opener. Normally she never sees anything, but this year she really lucked out.
Speaking of first deer, we've got a picture here of Laura Ripplinger, who had her first hunting season and getting her first deer this year. We've also got some additional pictures here. We have a picture of Terry Rohde with his 9-point buck, and we've got a picture of Mike Rohde, who also got a 9-point buck.
Our Minnesota Through the Lens photo is by Linda Winker with her walk through the woods. Grey Eagle Swanville Knights of Columbus donated $500 to St. Mary's Catholic School in Melrose. The Village View residents enjoying great music that is put on the first Wednesday of the month. So mark your calendar, the next performance will be December 6th, and everyone's invited to attend. The Upsala class of 2018 had fun doing a poster where the seniors have applied to 29 different colleges and universities. Their poster shows all the different locations. The Upsala 5th grade winners of the Early People Homes.
And of course, with our recent really cold temperatures, Lori, that people are going to be starting to see this ice forming on the lakes and ponds, and just you can't stress enough that that ice is not going to be safe, even though it's going to get really cold for a number of weeks yet for the kids to get out there and play or anything on the ice.
Yes, it is really frigid. And tonight, I think it's like single digits.
It's going to be single digits tonight. It'll warm up over the weekend a little bit, but they're looking ahead that 10 to 12 to 14 days, and we're going to have that term polar vortex is going to be really coming in. And I've heard predictions where in about 10 days, we're going to be talking about an extended, possibly sub-zero time here in November. So it's going to warm up next week a little bit. We'll have some 40s, hopefully. But after that, the bottom could just drop out here, and we could have a really cold Thanksgiving in central Minnesota.
So can a person go on and see if there's any cheap airfare going south?
Yeah, I don't think there is anymore.
Hitchhike?
Yeah, I don't think that'll work. Well, that's pretty much it for our show for tonight. Thank you for watching. If you have a moment, please click like on this video, and if you can, click share to let others in our area know that we're doing this weekly little kind of a news recap show. And then, of course, all the information that we talk about, most of it is in each week's hometown news. So you can go check out the pictures and the stories and the articles and different things, because it's there every Thursday, and you can see it online early Thursday morning if you want to get a jump start on the hometown news.
And of course, we only hit on the highlights. So really, there's a lot of information that's in the paper. There's different meetings and things coming up that we can't obviously cover and everything. And I want to remind everyone to check out our advertisers in the paper. Do business with them and thank them, because they are the ones that are bringing you the hometown news.
Once again, thank you for watching. I'm John Young.
And I'm Lori Young, and we're with the Hometown News TV. Good night.
Good night.